Hello everyone and welcome to my 200 subscriber Q&A Bonanza. It's literally all over my face. I'm going to leave it there and just crack on, just go ahead with it. I really do like this little, it makes me look really festive. It's all kind of all over me. It's fantastic. I've got about 16 questions to answer today, or 16 people who have asked questions. I'll shout you all out when I put the video up on YouTube. I'll tag you all in the video when it goes live. I really appreciate the questions you've given me. Some of them are fantastic and I look forward to answering them for you. Hopefully by the end of the video, we'll know each other better. We'll be closer, we'll be like this. And that's the idea of these Q&As, I guess. I've never done one before. So today, I'm not just gonna sit here and talk and answer questions. I'm gonna play some Simpsons Hit and Run because my God, that game has aged well and it's still fantastic today. So you have something to look at while I yammer on about the things that you've asked me today. So not just gonna be me sitting here with streamers hanging from my face answering questions. You will have some gameplay to watch, and what a fucking good game it is, Simpsons Hit and Run. Where's my remake? Where's my sequel? EA, sort it out. Look at it! Fucking hell. Hello, Marge. Oh, I've kicked Marge. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm gonna do it again. Okay, right. I'm gonna start running around as Homer and I'm gonna start answering some questions. Right, so the first question that I was asked on Twitter comes from someone I actually know, a guy I worked with for many years, a chap called Raffaham Lincoln. That's not his actual name, his name's Raff. So Raff's question is, I feel like I should ask you something, but it feels a bit odd given I know you in person. It's not odd, you can ask me things. Did you ever have any other ideas for the channel, or was it always going to be a Daytime Spooks as the main thing? Actually, it's a really good question, mate. I originally made the channel with the intention that it would be a movie review channel, and I would literally just watch movies and review them and put out my opinions. I haven't done a single movie review, I've just done games. Movies are a huge passion of mine. I watch films at the cinema almost every single week. I have one of those unlimited cards for Cineworld. And yeah, I'm always watching something with friends. I think at some point I will kind of branch out into movie reviews, but ultimately I'd love to do it with a group of friends. I've got a lot of really talented friends and talented people in my life that would love to be part of it, I'm sure. So at some point, movies and tackling that and kind of doing a bit more of kind of a podcast type thing. But I needed to build a platform to get myself started, and I love horror games. So yeah, I started with horror games. Hopefully that answers your question, sir. But yeah, movies was what it was meant to be originally. This game. It still runs so well. Now, this is the PC version of the game, obviously. So it's well optimized for these new systems. But it does just run really well. It's just smooth as all hell. I just wish they made games like this now. I know they do make games like this now. They're just a bit overdone, but like kind of GTA for kids, like there's still a market for that. Kids now have fucking Fortnite. It's a scary world when Fortnite's the best kids game that's going. Okay, so question 2 comes from another person I know. They're not all like this, I promise you. This is someone I know in real life. This is actually my oldest friend. I've known him for many, many years. So this question comes from my friend Jamie. And he asks me, what was the first game that really made an impression on you / changed you? I kind of have 2 answers for that question, really. I think the first game that changed me or made an impression on me was Super Mario 64. I remember the day I got my N64. Ah, Jesus! The day I got my N64 was also the same day I got my ear pierced. So, an emotional day for me. A lot was going on. It was an incredible day. But I remember getting home and setting the N64 up and literally just putting it on and being absolutely blown away by Mario 64. I didn't know games could be like that. I don't think anyone knew games could be like that before Mario 64 came out. But everything I played before that had been things like, you know, Sonic and kind of 2D platformers. And then Mario 64 comes along and blows everything out of the water. And it made a massive impression on me. And I think that was the moment I was like, okay, yeah, I love video games. These things are incredible. The second answer to that question really is the kind of first game that kind of had an emotional impact on me. Well, not necessarily the first game, but a game that had the biggest emotional impact on me is actually really recent, which was Red Dead 2. I've never been that invested in a character in a video game before. At the start of the game, I was playing like an absolute cowboy badass, you know, I was going around beating people up, I wasn't very nice. And without spoiling too much, by the end of the story, And without making any kind of conscious decision to do so, I played the game completely differently. I was playing as a good person on a redemptive arc, and I know it's called Red Dead Redemption, but the game didn't force me to play like that. I could have been a dick the entire time, but I wasn't. I started to naturally become a good person by the end of the game. I remember completing it and being an emotional wreck, and I remember my wife Molly completing it, and I sat and watched her complete it, and I looked over her and there was just tears streaming down her face. That game had an emotional impact like you wouldn't even believe. Incredible game. Everyone should play it if you haven't already. Thank you very much for the question, Jamie. That's a good question. Hopefully my answer was sufficient for you, my friend. Okay, so next question comes from Mr. Felly311. It's actually a few questions. So, what was the first game you ever played? Oh man, the first game I ever played, I think probably was... the first game I ever played was probably something that I would have played with my dad, and I won't remember what the game was. I used to literally sit and watch my dad play games on, I want to say it was an Amiga, or like a Spectrum or something. I would sit and watch him play for hours. The first game I ever played might have been Rainbow Islands. It's one of the oldest games I remember playing. A little game where you play as like a little boy and you shoot rainbows, and the rainbows are both your attack and kind of they're like a bridge. So you shoot a rainbow and you can climb on top of the rainbow, and the whole game you're progressing upwards. So you need to create these kind of chains of rainbows so you can climb up the level. That's probably one of the earliest games I remember playing myself, but I obviously remember playing things like Sonic and Sonic 2. I got those for Christmas one year and they blew my mind. But it was probably something like Rainbow Islands. Was one of the first games I really sat and played. But I don't know for sure if that was the first game I played. What's your favourite game of all time? Realistically, I probably think Dark Souls. I think that game is just so perfectly put together. Everything exists in that game with a reason. The world is so perfectly created. I love the way the lore's integrated into the world and the items rather than just it feeding you story. The combat is so precise. And when you overcome an obstacle in that game, there is no feeling quite like it in the world. It is incredible. I'd probably say it's Dark Souls, but I have a lot of kind of favourite game series. I love Silent Hill, I love Resident Evil, I love Fallout. Yeah, I've got a lot of favourites, but yeah, Dark Souls, the first one, is probably my favourite of all time. Favourite YouTuber to watch? I love kind of irreverent, random humour on YouTube. Probably one of my favourites is iDubbbz. I do love PewDiePie. I'm not up to date on his newer stuff, but I do love him. I just love how kind of unabashedly honest he kind of is. And I know he's made mistakes, but people make mistakes, and I love that about him. He's just a genuine guy, and he wouldn't be in the position he is today if he wasn't a genuine guy. So yeah, I really like PewDiePie, but I love iDubbbz. I love that kind of irreverent humour. I love Content Cop. I think it's just fucking hilarious. And what is the overall goal you have for your channel? Realistically, just to have fun. I think if I stop having fun, I'll stop doing it. I really enjoy the creation part, and I really enjoy editing. My wife said to me the other day when my editing suite was kind of failing me and I couldn't do what I wanted to do, I was looking at Premiere Pro and I was like, it's 20 quid a month. And she just kind of turned around and said, if what you're using now is stopping your hobby from being fun, then it's worth investing the money in something better. And my mind was just like blown, and I was like, shit, yeah, she's right. Because it is my hobby and I enjoy it. So my overall goal for my channel is for me to have fun, create content that I would enjoy watching, and just have a creative outlet, because I think it's really important to have a creative outlet and have something that you enjoy doing in your spare time. Thanks for your questions, Mr. Felly. They were really good questions. Hopefully my answers were good enough for you. Okay, so my next question is from Emma, or Azuru Plays, and her questions, 2 questions again. People being greedy. I asked for 1 question, you guys asked me 2. I actually don't mind, I really like it, thanks for that. Yeah, the 2 questions are, number 1, what is your biggest fear? My biggest fear is probably going to be the same biggest fear that everyone has, and that's death. Death is terrifying. I feel like, really, is there any other bigger fears than that in the world? You don't know what's going to happen until it happens. What a cruel joke. Like, it's terrifying because it's unknown. Yeah, probably death. But kind of a more mundane fear is flying. I fucking hate flying. I went to Bali for my honeymoon, and I live in the UK, so that flight was, intense. We stopped over in Doha, I believe. So it was like, I think it was something like a 9-hour and an 8, or a 10 and a 9. I don't know. It was long. That was horrible. But even short flights, I go to Turkey quite a bit. Like 4 hours to Turkey is too much for me. I'm just stressed the whole time. I can't take my mind off it. I try and play video games. Try and play my Switch. Doesn't help. Flying, probably. Flying and death. And they're probably connected. They're my biggest fears. What video game character do you identify most with? That's a good question. That's a really good question. I don't think I identify with any video game characters, to be honest with you. One of my favourite video game characters is Isaac Clarke from Dead Space. And I'd probably say that's my answer. I identify with him because he's just this everyman. And he's just thrust into this terrifying situation. And he just has to get on with it and just kind of make the best of it and survive. And I love that kind of everyman trope in games. Like, he's not equipped to survive this horrible alien attack in Dead Space, but you know, he just gets on with it and he just pushes through. So that's very much me, you know, in situations where I'm like, I'm not equipped to deal with this, I kind of realize that I just have to deal with it, and I'll always pull through. I'm quite a resilient guy. So yeah, I'd probably say Isaac Clarke in Dead Space. Very good question. Sorry my answer wasn't any more kind of well thought out, but I don't really identify with any characters. But yeah, Isaac Clarke. Thank you very much for your questions, Emma. They were fantastic. What is Homer doing? Homer, I don't like what you're doing right now. Stop doing those weird poses. Okay, so my next questions are from the Wicked Sisters, and they are incredible. If you haven't watched them already, they put out fantastic horror content. They're both hilarious. It's just well worth checking them out if you haven't already. If you like the stuff that I do, they're very similar, kind of doing a lot of horror stuff. They've got a huge amount of personality, and they show it all on their videos. So yeah, check them out. Honestly, they're great. And they've asked me 3 questions because they're both very greedy. So their questions are, firstly, what game was an utter disappointment to you? Oh, Ralph Wiggum. He is just my favourite character. Look at him there. Probably eating glue. What game was an utter disappointment to me? This answer isn't very inventive, because I'm sure it is a lot of people's, but it really was for me. Aliens Colonial Marines. That game broke my heart. I'm a huge Aliens fan. I'm a huge Alien fan. I love H.R. Geiger stuff. I love the design of the alien. Always kind of been enamored with those films. And then that game was set to be amazing. Everything they showed was incredible. And then they launched that complete and utter piece of shit. And it broke my heart. I remember I worked for Game at the time when that came out. And I worked the midnight launch for that game. And every now and then we'd get to play the game a little bit early before the launch period, the launch window. We had to sell it at 12 o'clock, so we'd play it like before 12 o'clock, so before the customers turned up. And I remember setting it up and I was so excited, and I turned it on, and within the first 10-15 minutes it was evident to me that the game was garbage and it was not what they'd been showing off and it's not what they promised. And I then had to proceed to work the midnight and sell it to all these people who were really excited for it. That was horrible. One guy bought like the collector's edition and the strategy guide and all the merchandise, and I was just sitting there going, dude, you are going to be heartbroken. But you can't be kind of, that guy's excited, he's come to midnight launch. Even if I sat there, oh my god, I've been hit by a bus. Even if I said to him, dude, the game's shit, he wouldn't have listened to me because, you know, he was excited for it. That game seriously broke my heart. I've since played it with mods and things, and it's a lot better now, but it's yeah, it's still a piece of crap. Secondly, if you suddenly woke up in a horror movie and could... Oh no, they've only got 2 questions. Sorry, I thought they had 3 questions. They have 2 questions. If you suddenly woke up in a horror movie and could only choose one out of the 3 weapons listed below, what would you choose? A banana, a camera, or a large stick? They're not weapons. They are not weapons. I'm sorry. Okay, so I wouldn't pick a camera. I've played a lot of horror games recently where the protagonist gets a camera, and the camera just leads to more scary things. So I'm not going to take a camera. I'm a proper wimp, so I wouldn't bother taking the large stick because I wouldn't even try and fight the things. I would just be running away for my life. I'd take the banana because I feel like after all the running, I would need the potassium and I would need the nutrients that a banana would give me. So I'm not taking it as a weapon, I'm just taking it as food. I like food. And I'm sure I would get very hungry running away from ghosts and goblins and horrible things. So yeah, I would take a banana with me. Thanks very much for your questions, Wicked Sisters. Keep doing what you do. You guys are great. Yeah, thanks for asking, and thanks for supporting everything that I do. I see you always liking and retweeting, so thank you very much. Right, so next question comes from GamerJube, another channel that does some fantastic stuff. I love the stuff they put out. So GamerJube's question is, did you play PT? If so, what did you think of it? I fucking loved PT, and it breaks my heart every day that I won't get the full game that I so sorely deserve. It was a Silent Hill game, like for those that don't know, I'm sure everyone in the world knows, but they dropped this playable teaser, PT, playable teaser, for a horror game out of nowhere. Like it was a video game conference, and all of a sudden they said, oh, there's this thing out right now, a demo for a game that's coming out. It's made by Hideo Kojima. It's got Guillermo del Toro involved. It was just like a match made in heaven, released for free. I ran home from work that night and I did one of the only streams I've ever done in my life. I streamed PT and a few guys from work were watching it, and I've never felt that terrified before in my life. That was genuinely, utterly terrifying, that game. I barely got through it. And I think how confusing it was added to how terrifying it was, because you didn't know what you were doing. You were just running around in circles, getting killed by this goddamn ghost, killed by Lisa. It was a masterclass in horror. And then at the end, obviously, they revealed it was a teaser for a fully fledged brand new Silent Hill game starring Norman Reedus from Walking Dead. And then it got cancelled, and Konami fucked everything up. And obviously now we're getting Death Stranding, but I loved PT. I really want a full-fledged version of that game. I think it's why I love Visage so much, because Visage is probably the closest thing to PT that we're ever going to get. Yeah, I just don't think we're ever going to see anything that inventive and cool. I loved it. I really did. Yeah, I played it. I loved it. Thank you for your question, GamerTube. You've made me reminisce, and you've made me sad now because I want PT. So aware, I'm not actually doing any missions here. I'm just running around as Homer and just kicking things and just kind of kick the people as well. Oh, you can. That's it. Get down the road. Oh, you get... Okay, that's how you get the police after you. This little bar here fills up and then the police come. It is very much like GTA in that regard. Okay, next question comes from Nacho Cat. Nacho Cat, who does fantastic artwork. I really need to send you a picture. I still need a piece of art from you. But I've been really busy lately. I will get on that. So Nacho Cat's question is, if you could be any mythical creature or person, who or what would it be? That's a very good question. Oh my god, I don't know. I don't think I'd be a mythical creature, per se, but I always have fantasies about being a superhero. I'm sure everyone does, but I would love to be a superhero. Probably something more grounded, something without kind of like actual powers. So I'd probably love to be Iron Man. Like, I'd love to have that suit and to be able to just jump in that suit and fly off and blow things up and take down bad guys. I just think that would be the coolest power fantasy I guess you could have. I wouldn't ever be like a bad guy. I'd want to be a good guy. And Iron Man is that kind of that ultimate fantasy of being able to just get in a super cool robot suit and just fly off and go wherever you want. Yeah, it'd probably be Iron Man or something like Goku. Because I think also being like a Super Saiyan would just be like super cool. I've loved... oh no, I've run this woman over. I loved Dragon Ball Z so much when I was younger, and I think I have had loads of fantasies when I was younger about like becoming a Saiyan and all this kind of stuff. And it's dumb, but it's the kind of thing that once you watch that kind of programs too much, you start fantasizing about. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily be a mythical creature, but I would love to be either like Iron Man or Goku, someone that could just blast off into the sky and fly wherever I want and be super powerful and fight enemies and threats that come and take on the Earth. I'd love that. I think that'd be the coolest thing ever. Thank you very much for your question, Nacho Cat. Got me thinking there for a second. Very good question. Okay, so the next question comes from ST, or Game with ST. ST always tags me in good horror stuff on on Twitter, sorry. Keep doing that. I really appreciate it. Sometimes I miss horror news, and you always kind of tag me in and keep up to date. This is kind of a two questions, or kind of like half. It's kind of the same question, but split in two almost. So ST asks, which horror game has made you shit yo pants the most? And is there one you actually haven't been able to complete because of it? So which horror game has made me shit my pants the most actually probably is Visage. I know I've played it on my channel and I've got through every bit of content I've made so far. But to play that game, it really takes some doing. I have to really work myself up to it. It's terrifying. I know it's mainly jump scares, but the way the game implants those jump scares is so clever. It lets you build and build and build, and the tension gets greater and greater. And it hits you not when you most expect it to hit you with a jump scare, but when you've just gone, okay, maybe there's not going to be a jump scare, and then it fucking just smashes one in your face. That game is terrifying, and it's consistently terrifying. I've not been able to settle into that game and get used to the scares, so it's remained terrifying throughout every time I've played it. So yeah, Visage is probably the scariest game I've played. Okay, so the second question from ST, or the second part of it, is there a game you haven't actually been able to complete because of how scary it is? Not really. I'm a bit of a nightmare when it comes to completing games. I tend to put them down and stop playing them, and I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to get through games now. In terms of not being able to finish one because it's so scary, not really. The only example that comes to mind was when I was a lot younger, a game on the GameCube called Eternal Darkness. Now, if you don't know it, that game was mind-blowing. It's one of the only games I've ever played that it kind of mucks around with your real-world settings and makes you think you're going insane. So, for example, you'd be playing and it would suddenly make it look like your TV volume was going up and down, or it would tell you that your controller was disconnected and you couldn't move your character around anymore, and then the monsters would get closer and closer until you died, but then it would snap back to reality and your character would be fine and your controller would be connected. So it would like play games of your mental state by making you think that the game was taking control of real-world items. That messed me up as a kid. I didn't like that. The game was also very hard. I think it being hard was the reason I didn't complete it or get through it. But yeah, it did freak me the hell out, and I did not manage to get through that game. So yeah, Eternal Darkness is probably the only game I've kind of not played because it freaked me out too much, and I think it had a lot to do with me being young. But yeah, that's probably the only one. Thank you very much for your questions, ST. They were really good questions. Got me thinking there. Got me thinking. I cut my thumb yesterday really badly. I was being an absolute idiot and not playing with a knife, but I was trying to break something open with a knife. And I could see it coming. I was like, I'm going to stab myself. I'm going to stab myself. And then I stabbed myself. And it just keeps bleeding. Just won't stop bleeding. Idiot. Okay, completed the mission for Flanders. Time for another question. Right, so this question comes from Melly Playful, another great supporter of everything I do, always comments on my stuff. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. So a couple of questions here, it looks like. So what's your favourite childhood memory? I have a lot of favourite childhood memories, but I'll kind of tie it in, I guess, and relate it to my YouTube and to games. My favourite childhood memory is probably watching my dad play games. I used to have like a playroom in the house that I grew up in. And he had his computer set up in there. Honestly, I can't remember if it was a Spectrum or an Atari or something like that. But I would just sit and watch him play games for hours, and I loved it. And I think it's the reason I got so into games, and they've become such a big part of my life now. I vividly remember him playing a Spider-Man game. And in my mind, it's great. It's like fully fledged out Spider-Man. He's sneaking through all these levels. It was kind of a platformer. I'm certain in reality the game was very basic. I feel like Spider-Man was just like a red line, and you went up on like little white lines for webs. I think it was really super basic, but in my mind it looked amazing, especially when I was younger, and I'd just sit and watch him play for hours. Yeah, probably watching my dad play video games when I was younger is probably one of my favourite memories of all time. Really, really cool. And yeah, genuinely I think it's why I play games as much as I do now, and why I love them as much as I do now. Okay, so second question. If you could change one thing about the world, what would it be? Oh my god, I would change so much about the world if I had the influence and the time and the power to do so. The world's a weird place now. It's changed a lot since I was younger. It changes every day, but right now it's a really weird place. I think the one thing I would really love to change is I would love to change the instant offended culture that we seem to kind of have cultivated. People seem to be offended by everything now, and just get on their high horse and want that thing to be banned and disappear from existence. And you know, some things are abhorrent and some things are disgusting, and things like homophobia and racist attacks and sexual abuse and all that kind of stuff. They're horrible things, and they are abhorrent, and you know, we should tackle them and fix them. But then there's other things that people get offended about, which are just bizarre. There's bigger issues in the world. There's horrible things happening every day, and I think that we use so much energy these days getting offended by things that we just don't need to be offended by. And if you're offended, that's fine. You can be offended by something, but that doesn't mean you need to ban the thing. You just need to walk away from the thing. If it's something, as I say, that's completely abhorrent and horrible, we should rise up and we should do something about it. But if you see something you don't like and you go, oh, I don't like that, you just don't look at it anymore. I see it a lot on Twitter. Women kind of sharing body positivity posts, and then you get a lot of guys turn around and be like, well, or people turn around, or other women turn around and be like, well, that's offensive, put your body away, I don't want to see it, you're disgusting, you're horrible. Just move on, just walk away. It doesn't impact you, it doesn't affect you in any way, shape or form. That person's proud of what they're doing, that person's proud of their body. Leave them alone. Like, just leave them alone. That's fine. If you're offended by that, cool, walk on. Just don't look at it anymore. That's probably what would change. People getting offended by everything these days. The wrong things. And that's what frustrates me. Oh my god, I didn't realise Melly had asked so many questions. Okay, so question number 3. Do you believe in ghosts or aliens? I think it would be insane not to believe in aliens or other life in the universe. The universe is so big and so vast. I think it would be kind of almost ignorant to assume that we're the only things out there in the whole span of the universe. So yeah, I kind of believe in life out there somewhere. I don't think we'll ever see it or find it. but I do believe it's something out there. As for ghosts, not so much. I know I'm a horror gamer and I play a lot of horror games, but I honestly, I don't really believe in ghosts. I'm one of them people. I'm quite scientific. I need to see something. I need proof. I know that's not very spiritual, but I'm not a very spiritual guy. But I need proof for something, and I have no proof of ghosts. I've been alive for 32 years. I've never seen a ghost. I've never had like a paranormal experience. Yeah, I don't really believe in ghosts. I wish they were out there. It would be very cool, but yeah, I just don't. I need the proof. And last question from Melly is, can I borrow $1 million? Now, $1 million, I guess, is about, I don't know, about £650,000. It's probably a lot less than that. Probably a lot more than that now, because the exchange rate on the pound is fucking garbage with Brexit. But if I had $1 million spare, I would give everyone $1 million. If I was like a billionaire, anyone that wanted the money, I'd help them out. But sadly, right now, I don't have it. I don't have that to lend you. I'll let you know one day if I have a spare million, and I'll just drop it your way. But right now, I've barely got a spare £10 in the bank. So yeah, I sadly can't give you £1 million or $1 million. But thank you very much for your questions. I really appreciate them. They were good fun to answer. All right, going for a bit of a joyride with Homer, and I'm going to answer another question. So, congratulations on 200 subs. This question comes from Cake, or A Forest Child. Thank you for your questions. Hello. And the question is, what are your inspirations, and what advice would you give to someone just starting out on YouTube? Or what advice would you give to your younger self? I've only just hit 200 subs. You know, I'm not one to say I know how to do things. I'm learning a lot myself. I can't really be out here giving advice and saying, yeah, this is the kind of stuff you should be doing if you want to get big on YouTube. But I can say the one thing that I know and I hold true to myself, and that is only do what you want to do. Don't follow trends just because you feel like that's going to get you more popular. You see a lot of things on YouTube, and you know, the trending tab's full of stuff, and everyone seems to be doing the same things at the same times. And yeah, it will get you views, it will get you hits, but if you don't enjoy doing that thing, don't do it, because it's a waste of your time. YouTube and creating content should be a hobby that you love and a hobby that you enjoy, not something that you do purely to make it a career. If you set out to make it a career, good luck to you. I hope you get there, but it's difficult. You need to really put in the time, and I think you need to be pretty unique. There's, you know, millions of videos uploaded daily, and a lot of people doing the same thing that you're doing. So getting yourself to stand out amongst all those people is difficult. And I think one of the best ways to stand out amongst all those people is to be yourself. Be as unabashedly yourself as you can. Just be you. And I think if you're you, people will realise that you're being very genuine, and people gravitate towards genuine content. And if they can see that you're being a genuine, honest person, they'll watch it, and I think that will help you grow. But yeah, I say I can't really give out advice, but the only advice I could give is stay true to yourself, make the content you want to make, play the games you want to play, and just do you, be genuine. There you go. Thank you for the question, Cake. Really good question. Hopefully my answer was good for you. Okay, next question comes from Colin Anderson, and he asks, what's a great character in a bad game? Ah, Jesus Christ. Oh, that's a really good question. What is a great character in a bad game? I don't really have a particularly good example of a great character in a bad game. I'm really struggling with that question. I'd probably say that that Duke Nukem is probably the best character in a bad game that I can think of right now. I can't remember was it Duke Nukem Forever, the really shit one? I played it for like, 20 minutes. I was like, this is absolute garbage. The one that we were waiting like 15 years to come out. That game was absolutely abysmal. I couldn't get through it. But I think Duke Nukem is such a bizarre and important video game character. Like he's a time capsule, from a different point. But he's kind of a parody of those kind of big sexist action heroes from the past, and I think he's a great character for that, because the games are very aware that he is this parody, and I think the way he was in the newest Duke Nukem game, I think it was Forever, the one that was absolute shit. The way he was in that was very true to himself, and he was still a great character, but the game was just awful. I feel like if someone can pick up that franchise and really play on the kind of the parody angle and the kind of the parody aspect of his character, I think he could still have something pretty special going on, especially in today's climate. If you can kind of link in with that kind of how does Duke Nukem fit in with kind of a society that doesn't that's trying to move away from treating people and treating women in the way that society has in the past. How does he fit in? That could make an interesting game. So yeah, I'd say Duke Nukem is a great character in a very bad game, being the most recent Duke Nukem game. Thank you for your question, man. Okay, next question comes from Charles Polman, and he asks, do you like manager games as well? So this is quite an easy question for me. If by manager games you mean things like Football Manager, then God no, I hate them. There's nothing more boring to me in the world. And I mean no offense with that. If you like manager games, fair enough. Play them, crack on. I know people that play them and they love them. I hate them. I can't imagine anything worse. If though you mean like park management games, so like Theme Hospital and Theme Park, like Planet Coaster, I love those. I love games where I get to build stuff and then manage it and kind of set the prices for everything. I love those. I don't like football managing games or kind of like management sims like that, but I love park building manager sims. Hopefully that makes sense. I love like the Jurassic Park builder they made because I like just making enclosures and then setting the dinosaurs free so they can eat all the guests. Like that's the kind of management game I like because I can still be an absolute dickhead in it and it's not like serious football management sim. So I like some manager games if they're the ones you mean, but not like football management games. Thank you very much for your question, man. Okay, while I talk to Ralph Wiggum, I'll answer him the question. So, next question comes from Gabriel Lapierre, and the questions are, what game have you spent the most hours playing? Ooh, okay, game I spent the most hours playing is probably, across the many various consoles, Dark Souls. Because I have it on basically everything. I've got it on the Switch, I've got it on the Xbox, I played it on the Xbox 360 first, I've got it on PC, I bought the remastered version on Xbox One. Yeah, I own Dark Souls on everything. So realistically, it's probably that I put the most hours into. Fucking love that game. Close second would probably be something like Skyrim or Binding of Isaac, though. I've played those games an incredible amount as well. I built up a lot of time on those. And I played a lot of hours into the original Destiny on Xbox One. I put a lot of time into that. I loved that game. And then Destiny 2 was a pile of shit. So, you know. But yeah, Dark Souls is probably the one that I played the most time. Second question, if magic was real, what spell would you try and learn first, and whom would you cast it on? Oh, if magic was real, I would learn an invisibility spell, and I would cast it on myself. Because I think fundamentally, if you could have superpowers, everyone would lean into more of the evil ones, and I think invisibility is like the most evil superpower you can have. Because everyone knows you just go invisible, and you just go and You'd go and get loads of money. You'd rob a bank and no one would know who you are. I'd probably do that. I'd rob a load of money from the bank as an invisible man, and then I'd be able to set my family up and set everyone up with loads of money for the rest of the time. Yeah, that's probably what I'd do. I'd learn invisibility and I'd sneak around doing weird things and messing with people and getting myself loads of money and money from my family. I'd be a bad person, I think, as soon as I had magic. And last question, what quote and saying do people spout but is complete BS? That is such a good question. I don't want to retry the mission because I'm in a really slow car and I don't think I'll win. What quote or saying do people spout but is complete BS? My favourite one of those is undoubtedly, I hate this, when you lose something and then you look for it everywhere and then you find it and then someone says, oh, why is it always in the last place you look? I fucking hate that. Because it's always in the last place you look, because you're not going to keep looking after you've found it. So, of course, it's the last place. You moron. It's the worst saying in the world. It drives me up the wall. But realistically, why would you keep looking after you found it? Of course, it's in the last place you're going to look, because the last place is the... it winds me up so much. The last place is always going to be the place you find it, because you stop looking, you absolute idiot. I hate that saying. Thank you very much for your questions. They were really good questions. Got me thinking. Thank you very much, man. Okay, so next question is from Princess Lou. And it is, what's the scariest scene you've seen in any film? And how many times have you seen that particular scene? I've watched a lot of horror films. I honestly don't know what the scariest scene is in any film I've seen. There's been scenes that have been like really under my skin. And have just sat there for a long time. I think most recently, the scariest scene I've seen in a film was in the film Hereditary. If you haven't seen it, go and see it now. It's terrifying. It really got under my skin. near the end of the film, and I saw the film twice in the cinema, and I didn't notice it the first time I saw it, but I did notice it the second time, and that's what made it way more creepy. There's a scene near the end of the film. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen it. There's a scene near the end of the film where the mum in the family has become kind of possessed, and the young boy is asleep in his bed, or he's in his bed, and he wakes up and he sits up because something's not quite right in the house. Everything's going to shit at this point. And he sits up, and the camera kind of pans, and you've kind of got this shot of him in the bed, and then his door's open, and it's all really dark. And the first time I watched the film, I didn't notice it, but the entire time, the mum is up in the corner of the room, right above where he's in bed, and she's up in the corner of the room, on the ceiling. And as he looks away, you see her scuttle along the wall out of the room, and my fucking god, that scene stuck with me. It didn't scare me in the moment, but it got under my skin. It's just creepy. I love that kind of stuff where something's happening just off screen, off shot, and it isn't drawn attention to, but it's there. Creepy. That film is amazing. If you haven't seen it, see it. It's like it's kind of really subtle horror, and then at the end it goes really wacky. But I loved it all the way through. Some really great stuff in that film. Really good question, Princess Lou. Thank you very much for that question. Yeah, Hereditary, I really recommend it. Go watch it if you haven't already. And Ari Aster is the director. His new film, Midsommar, also fantastic. Really bizarre, a bit more of like a horror fairy tale, but great film. Check his stuff out. Okay, so next question is from Wolfie's Gaming Tidbits, and it's actually two questions, and they are, I was wondering what got you into horror games, and do you think they make you braver in real life? Very good questions. Okay, so the games that got me into horror games were probably the original Resident Evil and Silent Hill 2. They're the first two I remember playing. The original, I need to buy the Plow King. The original Resident Evil was probably the first horror game that I played where I was just like, oh my god, this is terrifying. I didn't know games could be scary. I borrowed it from like a friend's older brother. He had like the director's cut version. And yeah, it was just terrifying. But I loved it. I loved the scares. I loved the giant spiders. I loved the kind of all that creepy stuff. It's weird because horror films when I was little used to really freak me out. And all of a sudden one day I just kind of was like, actually I like the creature designs. I like how zombies look. That first bit in Resident Evil where the zombie turns around, I was like, oh my god, that's terrifying. But also really amazing. I was hooked, I think, from that point. And then Silent Hill 2 I played with a bit more of a kind of a sensible head. And that just kind of blew my mind. That kind of showed me that these games could be kind of so clever. Oh my god, I've crashed into the school bus. They could be so clever and so twisted, and just, again, the creature designs got me straight away. And it was kind of years later when I played it when I was a bit older that I kind of understood the story. But yeah, Silent Hill and Resident Evil really got me into horror games. And in terms of do they make you braver in real life? No, I don't think they do. I think when things happen in real life that are scary, I'm still just a massive wimp. I think what they do though is make you, they kind of desensitize you. I have a higher tolerance for scary things in games and movies now, whereas my wife won't watch horror films. I'm really immune to a lot of it. I find a lot of it funny, whereas she would find it terrifying. So I don't think it's made me braver in real life, but I think it's just kind of made my immunity to scary things higher in multimedia, so kind of films and games. Thank you very much for your questions, Wolfie. They were very good questions. I really appreciate those. Okay, next question comes from Twitter's friendliest bear, Misfit Bear. Lovely guy, really nice guy. I always stay up to date with his content. He puts out some really funny stuff. Great videos, really high energy. Well worth checking him out if you've got a chance. So Misfit Bear asks, what is your video game waifu? That's quite a easy answer for me. My video game waifu is Triss from The Witcher. She's just stunning for a video game character. Just amazing. She's definitely my video game waifu. Her and Yennefer are both amazing. Like, that game has some incredible looking character models. A little bit too good. But yeah, no, Triss. I'm a sucker for a redhead. And yeah, Triss is probably one of the coolest looking and most amazing looking video game ladies that I've ever seen. So yeah, Triss Merigold from The Witcher is my video game waifu. Thank you very much for your question and for the little reminisce about Triss. I appreciate it. Alright, that was a really nice kind of, not wholesome, because obviously it was, you know, thinking about sexy video game ladies. That was a really nice kind of question to end on. That was actually the last question that I was asked. I'm going to keep playing some Simpsons Hit and Run, but thank you very much for all your questions. I really appreciate you asking me them. I was scared when I said I'm going to do a Q&A. I thought no one's going to ask me any questions and I'm going to have no content and it's going to be really awkward and really sad. So thank you guys for asking the questions. All of you who asked and all of you who interact with me on Twitter are just fantastic. I really do appreciate it. As a new, smaller YouTuber, it really means a lot. And it really means a huge amount that I've even made it to 200 subs. So thank you to everyone who subscribed to me so far. Honestly, I'm a pretty kind of easygoing guy. If you want to see me do certain things, hit me up. Send me a message on Twitter, send me a message on YouTube, just comment on something. And I will kind of see if I can factor that into my plans. I'm open to try new things. So if you subscribe to my content and you want to see me do different things, please just kind of drop me a message and let me know. And I'll try and work it in. It's been a crazy ride so far, and I can't wait to keep making more content and see how far I can get it and see how far we can go. I love this as a hobby. It's fantastic. I hope you've all enjoyed this video today. Before I sign off, I've got one more thing. I did say I was going to give away some mystery keys. I've got a whole bunch of mystery Steam keys to give away. So I was going to give away one, but so many of you guys asked questions, and I really appreciate the quality of the questions and the time you took to do it. I decided I'm going to give away three mystery keys. So I've put all the names of people who made questions into a random name generator, and I'm literally just going to pause Simpsons now, and I'm going to run the name generator and get 3 names out that are going to win a mystery Steam key, and I'll send you them on a DM on Twitter. So give me just 2 seconds, and I'll run that now and find out who the winners are. Okay, I just put all the names of everyone that asked questions into a random name generator I found online, the first one I came across. I'll flash the winners up on screen as I announce them, but 3 winners will all get a mystery Steam game from me. I can't assure you of the quality. They might be a little bit ropey around the edges, but it's a free game and I've got a whole bunch of these keys sitting there, so I'm happy to give them away to you guys. So the first name that came out of the hat was Wicked Sisters Gaming. Thank you very much for your question, guys. Honestly, your content is fantastic. I'll try and find a mystery Steam key that's at least kind of horror related, so maybe you can play that as a video. The second name that came out was Nacho Cat. I'll send you a mystery key. I don't know what I've got that you might want to play. I'll send you something. Hopefully it'll be something good. And thirdly, Misfit Bear. I'm excited to give you a game, man. You can hopefully play it on your channel. Again, I don't know what I've got in terms of quality, but I have got some games, so I'll send you something on a DM on Twitter. I'll send you all DMs on Twitter and I'll hook you up with a game. Thank you very much to all of you for asking questions, and thank you to everyone who asked a question. Again, I'll just reiterate, I'm really enjoying doing this YouTube thing. I don't do it because I want to try and make money from it. I do it because I enjoy it, and I do it because it's a fun hobby to have. Thank you very much for your questions. I'm crazy excited that I hit 200 subs. I'm kind of closing in on 250 at the moment. Any help and support you can give me to get there, kind of retweets, shares of my videos, all that kind of stuff. Honestly, it means the world to me. But yeah, thank you for coming along on this journey with me so far. I'm super excited to see how far we can go with it. And yeah, I'm going to keep making some spooky content, some crazy content, and just all kinds of random content because I really enjoy doing it. Thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you next time for another crazy video. Love you all. Take care. Goodbye.